Is your house a jungle of clothes? Are there shoes at the bottom of your shoe rack, shoes you no longer use? Or do you have boxes, old metallic boxes, the metallic boxes that were used by your now 25 years old daughter or son in the university? Do you have files that you no longer use, files that are lying somewhere at the corner of your house catching dust? Or are there books that were read by your now 25-year-old daughter or son still lying somewhere on the bookshelves unused? Or do you have games that were used by your now 18 years old daughter? She's no longer interested in them, yet you are keeping them. Then it is time to talk about clutter and declutter. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ann Adhiambo of Mothers Don't Tire Modoti channel. Remember, this is the channel where we pour out our souls. We talk about our challenges as mothers. We talk about how we do it at home. We also remember that it is only in Modoti that we say it as it is. We laugh at ourselves, we joke, we look at some of the messes we make and we just make fun of it and we make better moms. For those who have subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm so grateful. And for those who are viewing my channel for the first time, kindly subscribe, comment, share, and download. Today, I want to talk about clutter and declutter. I want to talk about clutter and how to declutter. The home is often where women have power. It is where we can express our gentility and hostility. Mountains of junks at home aren't just eyesores, they can also increase anxiety. Clutter makes it impossible to get anything that you need in time. Because of clutter, we miss deadlines, forget appointments, annoy spouses, our friends, and even our work associates. All this cause stress that makes it even harder to get organized. But messes often hide problems in our lives, problems that we do not want to confront. Recognizing the root cause is the first step to staying organized. I want to talk about, first of all, some of the root causes of clutter and when to discover that you are suffering from what we call clutter stress syndrome. One of the causes of clutter, one of the root causes of clutter and clutter stress syndrome at home is when you are avoiding something. So it's easy to get disorganized when you are avoiding something. It's easy to get disorganized when you are avoiding something. For example, bills and statements may be piling up somewhere. You don't want to file them. You don't want to organize them in a way that you can look at them because you could be in fear of confronting your financial woes. So because you could be in fear of confronting your money woes, then you find yourself disorganized, you find yourself getting your bills and statements and just cluttering them out. Sometimes it is horrible to find how our finances are, and therefore we create some kind of a mess, consciously or unconsciously. So it is easier to stay put in the mess than to let yourself accept that this is the situation of my finances. So when you find that your bills and statements are disorganized all over, then it is time to think about your way of dealing with your clutter. You could be suffering from what we call clutter stress syndrome. Another thing that could be the cause of clutter in your home, in your office, is the fear of failure. Many a times we say, if I were organized, I would go back to the university. If I were organized, I would write this book and submit it for publishing. If I were organized, I would do stuff. If I were organized, I would do stuff. So the mind is made in such a way that when the mind recognizes or realizes that there is some fear in you, like the fear of failure, the fear of admitting that I'm failing in this area, then the body will react by causing some sort of disorganization. So you'll find that your CVs are cluttered all over, your bedroom is messy, your filing system is not well done, because it is easier to blame the mess than to blame yourself. So when you find that you are not organized with your documentation, you are not organized with your everything, that it is time to reassess yourself. You could be suffering from what we call clutter stress syndrome. Another way in which you can recognize that you're suffering from clutter stress syndrome is when you have changed but you aren't prepared for it. So sometimes you have changed but you aren't prepared for it. Like, for example, you can find yourself keeping some of the slimmy clothes, some of the clothes you used to put on when you were skinny. You're still keeping chunks of them in your wardrobe. So this could be a sign that you are not happy of the extra kilograms that you have gained, and therefore you could be keeping junks of some of the small shoes that you're putting on when your legs had not expanded, some of the skirts that you used to put on when your waistband had not expanded, and they are formed junks in your wardrobe, junks in your bedroom, junks in your buckets of clothes. Then it is time to think about what you are suffering from. You could be suffering from what we call clutter stress syndrome. If you find yourself keeping junks of things you used to do or used to put on, and for us ladies, it is very common with the clothing. When we are not accepting our current body shape, I'm not accepting my current bust, then it's very possible for me to keep those tiny bras, maybe to show friends. Do you know I used to be size 26? Do you know I used to be this size? Do you know I used to be this size? So you could be suffering from clutter stress syndrome, and the faster you think of how to deal with it, the better. Another way in which you can recognize or find out whether you're suffering from clutter stress syndrome is when you're holding onto someone. You are not letting go. Maybe you are holding onto a relative who died, a very close relative, a very close child, your loving child, your sister. You are holding onto their clothes, you're holding onto their pictures. You don't want to move on. You are keeping their exercise books. If it is maybe your child or your daughter, you're keeping their certificates, you're keeping their pictures, you're keeping them for too long. Then it is important for you to note down that it is not normal. You could be suffering from clutter stress syndrome, because they'll end up being junks, and you are not using them. They'll just form part of the junks. And when you have too many memory joggers, you become distracted and overwhelmed. Another way in which you need to recognize whether you're suffering from clutter stress syndrome is when you want to retreat. So sometimes, ladies, we can have an excuse. I can't throw a dinner party into my house. Oh, I can't throw a dinner party into my house because my house is so disorganized. My house is a pigsty. My seats are not good looking. Oh, this, oh, that. And this could be a way in which you want to withdraw from friends, you want to withdraw from people, you want to withdraw from families, and you are just using an excuse of clutter in your house to withdraw. And sometimes as women, as ladies, we deliberately sometimes do not do house chores because we are having problems with our spouses. So sometimes as a lady, when you have problems with your spouses, you find yourself disorganized, you find everything cluttered, you find your bedroom is not made, then it is time to note that it is not normal. You are suffering from a syndrome called clutter stress syndrome. It is important to note that clutter causes distraction. If there is clutter in your house, in your home, it causes a lot of distraction. It causes a lot of anxiety, and you can be overwhelmed. You'll fail to meet so many deadlines because you don't know where this is. You don't know where this the other thing is. So it is always important to lighten up and to declutter. How do you declutter at home? There are several ways in which you can declutter as a lady at home. So personally, I always do it once a month. Once a month it is important to move in your wardrobe, to move in your shoe racks, and find the shoes that you no longer use, the clothes you no longer use, the things you no longer use, especially the ones that you are not likely to use recently, and burn the ones that you can burn. Maybe a month difference could be too short, but maybe a difference of some of 3 months would do. So one of the things that you can do is isolate or find out, get out those things that you don't use. Maybe if they're not in good condition that you cannot donate them to a charity, then it is time to burn them, to do away with them. If they are junks like clothes, you can burn them. If they are junks like electricals, things to do with the machines, then you can donate them. You can give them as toys to children to play with them so that you can relieve your house of junks. Another way that you can deal with junks is to throw them away. You can dig a pit. If they are junks that you cannot donate, they cannot burn, then you can throw them away. You can dig a pit and bury them in the pit and do away with them. Remember, the more you declutter, the more you create space for miracles. When you want to deal with the clutter, before you deal with the clutter, even before you start the burning, especially when you realize that you are suffering from clutter stress syndrome, then first of all, it is important to know what is it that you are avoiding. What is it that I'm avoiding? Am I avoiding to talk about, or am I escaping? What is it that I'm escaping from that is making my file to be, my financial statements to be cluttered all over? Is it my current financial situation that I'm escaping from? Then it is time to confront it. It is time to accept yourself as it is. It is time to accept your current financial situation, because when you accept, then it is easier to deal with it. Then if also you realize that you fear to fail, the fear of failure that causes you to clutter, it is time to accept. It is time to accept. The most important thing, or the most important way in which you can deal with the clutter, is to accept. Accept that this is my current state. This is the dead situation. This is what I'm failing from. This is my family, and this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do. When you accept, accepting your situation is the first step to overcoming it. Then you also need to let go. If you have a loved one who passed on, or you separated from your spouse, or you divorced, it is time to let go. It is time to let go.